Hi everyone, welcome back to If My Heart Had Wings, episode 36. And we just came back from a very interesting time at the lake. Well, it's because Ageha wanted to find a place to go swimming without the crowds. And they ended up going to a place where Aoi and Ageha and the other people went in the past. And I feel that most of the time was spent on trying to admire each other's bodies. So at first, Ageha was teasing Aoi about, so which of us three girls looks the best? And that came to one of our selection screens. And then the tables turn around with all three girls trying to admire Aoi and his muscular body. And don't forget that Aoi went to a sporting school before he got injured and had to go to a different school. And that's why he moved back here. So now it's nighttime back at the Flying Fish Manor, and I wonder what Ageha means by the first paper airplane barbecue competition. So let's find out. So Ageha declared the opening in a loud voice. So the competition, as the name suggests, it's an anything goes contest where we all make a paper airplane, and the person whose plane flies the farthest gets to eat the best meat. Oh, okay, Seiko. So who can make the best paper airplane that can sustain in the air and fly smoothly? And the reason why we are doing this is because the meat that Hibari brought over varies in type and size. Okay, that makes sense. So there's beef, pork, chicken, as well as the various cuts of meat. And if we were to divide it evenly amongst everyone, there will only be a small amount of each meat for each person. Well, I'm sure it is better, but they don't really have to have all of Hibari's meat. So for Aoi, I want the beef part with loin and ribs. So it's what these meat-eating girls all insisted. So that's why the very first competition of this type has been hastily arranged. So the discipline chosen is the paper airplane, which embodies the peaceful spirit of the soaring club. So I'm gonna win. So I wonder if Amane is serious about this, but then again, the Saiyan type is the most deadliest type. So everyone starts working on unfolding their paper airplanes, or folding it up. And you aren't using the construction kits like the ones that Kotori used before in the garage. So these are just the regular paper airplanes made from a single piece of paper. And we come up with our own ways of folding them. And the paper airplanes that we make are all different shapes. And everyone is serious about this. So I gotta win. The meat and our pride on the line. So have you finished? Okay, so everyone's ready, and let's see. So we all bring the paper airplanes that we have made and stand next to each other in a line. Okay, so we'll throw them at the same time when the signal is given, and there will be no complaint about the results. So it's going to be a very fair match.
前置きはいいから早く始めましょう。
Okay, let's start.
もうお腹ペコペコだ。
I'm hungry, so hurry up and get this over with.
どうせ勝つのは私だけどね。
And I'll win. Alright, get ready. Everyone has a serious look on their face. And let's see. Okay, so we throw our paper airplanes at the same time. And the 4 paper airplanes cut through the darkness of the night.
いけー。
Go, 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 go! Come on! Go farther!
よし、いいぞ。頑張れ。
Come on! Uh-oh, this looks bad. So, Amane is the first one to fall. Okay, so she lost. It wobbled ungracefully as it flew, and then suddenly lost speed and crashed to the ground. So because Amane is not really good with her hands, the airplane flew wobbly and it couldn't stay in the sky for long enough that it fell.
あー、お肉が。
Oh no, the meat! Okay, so Aoi is the second to lose. And now Kotori and Agehas were the only ones left, and it was now a 2-horse race.
もうちょい頑張れ。
Come on, go, 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 go! Almost there, almost there!
よしよし、いいぞ。もう少し。
And Amane and I, who were now spectators, watched over the battle with nervous anticipation. So their 2 paper airplanes, with a feeling of being almost completely weightless, flew right across the garden. Wait, can paper airplanes really fly this far? Is what I thought as I watched on, impressed. And it was a close finish. So let's see who just slightly made an edge over the other one.
やったー、優勝。
And it's Kotori!
こんなのずるい。
Oh, that's unfair! Well, I'm sure it'll be a different story if Ageha did win. There you go. So while getting closer to the ground, both of their planes were still increasing their flight distance. However, just as they were grazing the ground, Ageha's plane got caught on the shrubbery. Oh, that's too bad. So it looks like Ageha was unlucky that the plane hit some bushes or some trees, and that's why Kotori's paper airplane made it the farthest. Well, it felt like Ageha would have won if there were no obstruction though.
見苦しいわよ、アゲハ。コース選択も駆け引きのうちよ。
So even though you built your airplane very well, there's one thing you forgot, and it's that you chose, or you flew it in a way that caused it to go on a collision course with the trees. Well, maybe the wind blew it, or maybe it was so far that I would never predicted that it would come to the tree. Well, that's alright, isn't it? So, the second place person does get to eat a good portion as well, so.
そうだぞ。私なんか。
But from Amane, she's last place. So Amane looks down at her own plane, dejected.
さあ、食堂に戻ってご飯にしましょう。
Well, anyways, I won, so let's eat. So, I have a feeling that the reason Kotori and Ageha were pretty close was because they were practicing making those wings for the gliders, and they were able to use the skills to make pretty good paper airplanes, as opposed to Amane and Aoi. So fat from the meat is flying off the hot plate.
おかしいな。一番飛ぶ折り方をしたはずなのにな。
Well, Amane slowly eats her chicken while continuing to act all downhearted. Well, things like that can happen, you know. So the 4 paper airplanes from just now are lined up next to the hot plate. And the one I made was just the mediocre regular type. So Kotori had worked on the tips of hers a little, and the backs of the wings were bent slightly, probably to give it more lift. And Ageha's was folded somewhat more elaborately than Kotori's. And then there was Amane's. I couldn't possibly imagine how she folded it, but it was a pretty complicated shape.
確かにこの折り方が最強ですけど、うわ、雑。こんなの飛ぶわけないじゃん。
So I think it's like, well, for Amane, she folded it so complicated that it really ruined the aerodynamics of the paper airplane. And that's why it couldn't fly correctly. And added the fact that Amane is really bad with her hands, so the folds were pretty, I'll say like jagged, not clean, I guess. So Mai puts her hands to her chest and hangs her head. It would appear that the reason why she lost is not because there was a problem with the design, rather her clumsiness when it came to making it. There you go. So Mai's bad hand skills. And Ageha's plane seemed like it should be able to fly well. And Kotori's plane was well devised and was also precisely folded. So like I said, I think what happened to Ageha's airplane was that even though it's folded quite delicately with all those different patterns and shapes, I think the problem was that when you fold it really complicated, it starts to affect and compromise some of the properties of aerodynamics. So she looks on with the envy of beef loin and ribs that Kotori and Ageha were eating. Oh, I wanted those! Well, I wanted to eat the beef too, but to be honest, anything's okay. So you got pork and chicken instead. We ate our dinner while chatting excitedly. On the TV that had been left on in the dining hall, for some reason, was a program called Japan Rocks the World had just started. It's a program that covers Japanese people who are active in various fields.
Amane senpaiも将来この番組に出るかもしれませんね。Amaneちゃん、テレビに出して大丈夫かしら？きっと変な発言するわよ。
Well, I think it's more like Amane's going to be like very nervous. She's going to act all strange, and I wonder what word I was looking for. Like she's going to get stage fright.
それがいいんじゃないの？先輩美人だし、テレビ映えするよ。
Well, so as they sit saying these things right in front of her, they turned their focus back to the TV. And a middle-aged man with a beard and a white coat appears.
わあ、この人知ってる。
So, that guy.
なんとかってバクテリアからバイオ燃料を生成する技術を発明した人だよね。確か。
So I wonder who this person is. I may have to look it up. But anyways, let's continue.
発明家ってさ、変な人多いよね。奇人変人っていうの？
Well, yeah, we can say that they're weird because they spend hours and hours locked up trying to come up with this latest and greatest idea, and they're willing to lose sleep over it. And of course, for someone average, it's like, this person's a weirdo because he's come up with this crazy idea and trying to make something interesting happen, and I'm sure it's not going to happen. And they don't realize it until the invention makes a breakthrough and it gets televised. And some good revolutionary benefits happen. Well, I've seen this guy several times on TV. So he developed the technology that Ageha had just mentioned and has been applying those things that we are familiar with in our daily lives. Well, he is pretty odd, an eccentric weirdo, as Kotori puts it. However, at the same time, he's famous for his outspoken remarks and can sum up things like environmental issues with a simple statement, so he's quite thrilling to watch.
私この人好きだな。ちょっと天然入ってて愛嬌あるしね。そうね。なんか誰かに似てる気がする。
I'm sure we know who that person could be.
父だ。
Wait a minute. That's my dad. Amane, who had been focused on eating, mumbled as she lifted her head.
何が？ほら、今テレビに映っている。
So everyone looks back at the TV again. And there on the screen, it said Takeshi Mochizuki, the inventor.
Mochizuki?
Or Takashi. So speaking of which, I have a feeling she said her dad was an inventor. And now we see him. Oh, so this man is Amane's dad. Well, I don't think it's weird because... Wait, is it that weird? I'm not sure what you call it. But he is really famous. And bewildered, everyone looks at the TV, then compares what they see to Amane, biting into her fatty pork, who then looks up and happily says, "Oh?" But anyways, Amane's too busy enjoying her dinner. Wait, I see Amane on TV. So behind Mochizuki-san, who was being interviewed, there was a glimpse of a girl in a white coat. So that was past, I remember that. She speaks like he's talking about things that happened to someone else, while stuffing herself with pork, and then says "oh" again.
今父が紹介している発明品は私が設計したものだぞ。
So what is this? So I recognize the invention that Takashi is proudly introducing. It was a hot topic for a while. It sold really well, and it was on the morning news.
グライダー製作の費用はそれらの特許収入から出しているんだ。
So I was able to get the money from this patent to fund the glider. So she explains it like it's completely normal, but
どうりで資金が潤沢なはずだわ。普段ボケボケってしてるけど、Amaneちゃんって本当はすごい人だったのね。
So the fact that Amane is really smart, but well, recently I've been around her all the time, so I just thought of her as a strange girl, but she really is an incredible person. I go a little pale when I think about whether or not it's alright to throw someone like that off the top of a rock.
私は引退したらここの研究所に入って父の仕事を手伝うことになっている。
But then again, Amane wanted someone to throw her off the rock, so then again.
留年を重ねたせいで父には随分迷惑をかけてしまった。
So once again on the screen there was Amane helping her father. She is good looking, so she looks great on TV. However, the others were no longer making a fuss about it. It all seemed strangely real now that they were confronted with Amane, or what Amane would look like after she quits.
あまねちゃん、これ。
So Kotori starts to feel sorry for Amane and gives some beef to her.
いいのか？これもどうぞ。
Oh, here it goes well. So Ageha too. So Ageha gave her some beef loin.
ありがとう。やったー、牛肉だ。
So now that the topic of her leaving the school had unexpectedly come up, there was a feeling of sadness around the dinner table. So I wonder what's going on. Kotori groans as she turns the pages of a book, which is all written in English. Oh, okay. So I wonder if Kotori's doing homework, or finishing her homework. So, do you understand it?
なんとなくはわかるんだけど。ひばりね、早く帰ってこないかな。そしたら訳してもらうのに。
Well, I'm sure the homework is made for Kotori to learn English, and if she has Hibari come over and help her translate, then that kind of defeats the purpose. Anyways. Oh, okay, so Kotori's reading a foreign book about morning glory and other similar phenomenon. Okay, so that makes sense. So, Kotori's trying to learn more about the morning glory clouds, and it's hard to understand and she needs someone to help her translate. So there are a few records of such things occurring in Kazagurura. So it looks like she came across this while looking for something similar. Well, it would be great if there were some articles about this phenomenon that have occurred in Kazagurura.
しょうがないわ。何せ十数年に一度あるかないかのレアな現象だし。
So I wonder when the next morning glory is going to come. And I'm sure they will not make it in time. By the time it comes, Amane will be long graduated. So it seems that when it happened 26 years ago, it was very sudden and was shown on TV and in newspapers as a rare phenomenon. If the photo that the Soaring Club had taken had been circulated, then the reaction to it would have been quite different. So if you remember, the photo was actually left behind by the Soaring Club from previous years, and at some point in time, the club was suspended. There's no members, and when Amane found the club, she found the photo on top of some glider. So they didn't have internet like we have now, so we've only been able to find articles and records from the time in the library. But we only know a little about this phenomenon.
どうやらあの雲の回廊は最低でも十数キロの長さはあるみたいね。
Said Kotori as she showed me the maps that she had made herself. The size was drawn based on witness testimonies. Okay. So is this a painting or this is an actual photograph? It was pretty long, it went diagonally across the lake, and then just kept going and going.
夜明け前に生まれて日が昇ってしばらくしたら消えてしまうみたい。
Okay, so there's a short time window for when this morning glory appears. So how long does it last?
さあ、せいぜい 2,3 時間ってところじゃないかしら。
Wow, so 2 or 3 hours?
雲の周りに強い上昇気流があって、それに乗ればグライダーで渡っていくこともできるそうよ。 OB の人たちはそうやって撮影したんでしょうね。
I see. When the water vapor becomes a vertical draft and rises up into the sky, it is cooled down by the colder air, creating clouds. There is a strong connection between clouds and vertical drafts.
いつ起こるのかわからないんじゃ、準備のしようもないよ。
Well, at least they can get everything ready, so the winch fixed, the glider all tuned, ready to go, all of the components in good condition, structurally sound. So when it does occur, they're ready for it. Oh, and also the runway cleaned and not overgrown with weeds. So there are only about 10 days left of the summer holidays, and the countdown to Amane quitting the school has begun. And before then, we have to pass through the passage of clouds. And no matter how good a glider we make or whether we learn to pilot it perfectly, if the morning glory does not occur, we cannot do anything.
こんなとこかな。
So Ageha, who is working on something by herself, wipes the sweat from her brow and takes a breather. So what have you been doing?
コックピット作ってたの。
So what's that? So she had attached pedals and a stick that was like a yoke to a chair. And calling it a cockpit is slightly lame though.
もう何よその顔は。これただのおもちゃじゃないんだからね。
So why is it lame? Okay, so Ageha took a cable that extended from her poor excuse for a mock cockpit and plugged it into the computer. And Kotori, who seems intrigued, leans over.
シミュレーターを起動して。
Okay, so I turn it on as she says. And Ageha sits down in the mock cockpit and operates the yoke. And then...
動いた。ラダーペダルは上々。
So could it be?
シミュレーター用コックピットよ。
So operating the pedals and yoke attached to the chair moves the aircraft shown on the monitor. And it feels just like watching magic or something. Come on. So I like how Ageha thinks of, okay, let's make a mock cockpit with this simulator. Because it gives the player a more realistic sense of flying the airplane rather than using a simple controller with an analog stick and buttons. And if you remember, in Amane's setup, the L and R buttons on the controller were the rudder pedals. And you're supposed to control it with your feet, not with your fingers.
これならより本物に近い操作感が得られるでしょ。
There you go. So Ageha moves out of the way and I sit down to try it out. Ooh, wow, this is great! It really moves.
どうやったの？このくらい簡単よ。時間ができたら作ろうって思ってたの。
Well, we don't have anything to do right now, so let's just kill time and make something like this.
天音先輩もよかったら試してみてください。
So Ageha calls out to her, and Amane, who is sitting in the front of the drawing board, lifts her head up.
何か言ったか？
And it looks like Amane hasn't paid attention attention to what's going on, to concentrate on that drawing of something.
あまねちゃん、こっち来て。これで練習したら、あまねちゃんももっと上手になれるって。
So Amane comes over and takes a good look at the cockpit that Ageha had made.
ねえ、すごいでしょ。こんなの作っちゃうなんて、アゲハすごい。
So isn't it great?
いや、だから本当に大したものじゃないんだって。
Well, it feels normal. Come on, go ahead and try it out, Amane.
どれどれ。おお、本当だ。これはいい訓練になるな。
So it looks like Amane can see, oh, so this idea is much better than using a controller. So while muttering, I should have made it like this from the beginning. She operates the simulator for a while.
ウィンチが戻ってくるまでの間、少しでも練習できればと思って。
Okay.
アゲハ偉い。
So why is Kotori the one who is happiest about this? Well, I think it's because it's a way to, I'll say like it's a way to feel like you're flying the airplane without flying the actual thing. So while the winch is broken and our club activities have been ground to a halt, we couldn't stand just waiting for time to pass. There you go. And that's why everyone's been looking for a thing to do. And the feeling of that we're making even the slightest progress lifted everyone's spirits.
これはよくできてるな。こうして座ることでより臨場感が増して。
And Amane's gained the same fears that she gets when she flies the real machine. Amane's trembling.
シミュレーターなのに怖いぞ。それにも慣れることができて一石二鳥じゃない。
So letting Amane get in the seat, I stayed a little farther away, and while listening to them all talking, I happened to take a glance at the drawing board. So when she has spare time, Amane's always at the drawing board. And there's some plans drawn here, but the aircraft has already been completed. And even so, I wonder what it was that she had been drawing. So it's a glider, but the shape of the wings is different. The main wings are a bit further forward in relation to the fuselage, and the outline was strange and quite different to the airplanes that I know. So I'm pretty sure it's like, well, even though the glider is finished, there are always places to improve, and mine is trying to find those improvements. Because maybe it'll let the glider fly further, or it'll be easier to control. But anyways, it looks like somebody's here, and I'm pretty sure we know who this person might be. So, you look like you got time on your hands. So as I noticed this voice come out of the blue, I realized that at some point, Tobioka-sensei had come into the garage. Everyone stops talking and starts acting wary of him. So what's his beef this time?
何かと思えばゲームで遊んでるのか。それがソアリング部の活動なのか?
What? So, I see that you're not really doing productive work. You're playing games. And you're using the club name as a way to make it legit. So seeing Tobioka-sensei appearing suddenly and making snide comments, Kotori looks like she's about to snap at him.
ダメだよ、小鳥。
No, don't do that. You know that it's not going to make anything better. It might make it worse.
わかってるわよ。何かご用ですか?
So can we help you then?
山辺先生が放任しているようなのでな。代わりに私が見に来てやったんだ。
So I feel that your advisor is too lenient on you, so I need to take charge of this. So Yamanobe Sensei is our advisor, but he hardly ever shows his face here. And that could be because of the pressure from Tobioka-sensei. If he were to actively be involved with the club, he would become a target for Tobioka-sensei.
姫木、こんなお遊びのためにロボット部を辞めたのか。お前には期待していたんだぞ。
Okay.
お遊びじゃありません。
Well, we're not playing games. So correction number 1. Ageha retorts sharply, without any fear of Tobioka-sensei. But he frowns in frustration.
こんな部を選んだこと、いずれ後悔するぞ。
Well, you will regret. I was hoping that when I mentioned you can only pick one club to attend, I was hoping that you would drop this club and stay with my robotics club.
そうならないよう努力します。
Really, she looks like she wants to say, I don't need your opinion, so get out of here. Bleh. But it seems she's putting up with it for now. So I'm sure it's like, well, I saw that you're this really smart person, you're really productive, you're making good things, and you would definitely support the robotics club because it will support your, I'll say like your study, or like your dreams, your preferences. But instead you went to this club, and this club has no future, it's about to die, and I can see that the club is on its last legs because you're just playing games and making nothing, like making no achievements.
望月、また飛んだらしいな。
はい、テストフライトをしました。ちゃんと活動しないと生徒会に怒られるので。
Well, we did make some progress, we did make some achievements that... So what we did was that we flew the glider into the skies.
その時、ウインチが故障したらしいじゃないか。
なんでそんなこと知ってんのよ。あれじゃない？山野辺先生には報告したから。
Well, that might be true. Well, if something were to happen, just in case, we would tell Yamanobe Sensei everything that we'll be doing.
また事故を起こすつもりか。もし怪我人を出したら、今度こそ廃部だぞ。
Okay, so it looks like Tobioka Sensei has a concern, and a very serious one. It's like, well, I feel that flying this glider is quite risky. There's all these places that can happen, all these problems, and these problems can lead to like permanent injury or death of a student. And that's why I feel that this club is not going to work out because it's unsafe.
と言っても、どの道あと10日か。
But anyways, your club is going to close anyways, so...
夏休みが終わればお前も引退なんだ。頼むから、それまではおとなしくしておいてくれ。
And without Amane, I will make sure this club is closed for good.
はい。
So he left it at that, and Tobioka Sensei left the garage.
超ムカつくんですけど。
And I hope that Tobioka Sensei does not think that, okay, so once I shut this club down, the soaring club, that'll force the other people to be in my successful-ish robotics club. So Kotori, Aoi, and Ageha.
ほんと嫌味なおっさんよね。ロボット部やめて正解だったわ。
And I wonder if he was going to push Ageha to the same extent that he did to Amane many years ago.
ねえ、あまねちゃん、さっきあいつが言ってた事故って、あまねちゃん。
Oops.
ああ、わかってる。事故はないようにしなきゃな。
Okay.
いや、そうじゃなくて。
It's like, well, I'm asking, like, do you have an accident in the past?
お腹が空いた。ご飯を食べてこよう。
And it looks like Amane wants to dodge the question. So Amane pulls in a natural smile and then stands up and leaves the garage.
何あれ。さあ。ねえ、事故ってなんだろう。
So I wonder about the accident.
わからない。
Well, I don't know, but so it looks like to Amane, it's something in the past that she does not want to talk about. And as I say that, the other two both have a grave look on their faces. Okay, so it's nighttime and I get out of the bath and it's about time to go to bed. So mine didn't seem like herself today. Even at dinner, she didn't eat that much. And ever since Tobioka-sensei mentioned about the accident. So what happened? So everyone was worried about this, but it didn't seem like we could ask her about it. I walk along the hallway while thinking of that, and then Amane came down from the second floor.
小鳥はいるかな。
Oh, so she's in her room, I think.
そうか。ありがとう。
So what does Amane want to talk to Kotori about? So Amane knocks on Kotori's door.
あまねちゃん？
Wait, you? So Kotori pokes her head out from her room and is surprised to see Amane staying there. So this is probably the first time she's gone to see her in her room like this.
少しいいかな。いいけど、入る？
So wanna come in?
あ、
Kotori invited her in, and then Amane went inside the room. Kotori went to close the door and then noticed I was there. She looked at me like, so what should I do? Come over here? But there's no way I could go in there. And eventually, she closed the door. So I wonder why Amane wants to see Kotori's room.
ぐわぐわ。何か用かな、あまねちゃん。懐かしいな。
So it's been a long time.
ここは昔、イスカの部屋だったんだ。なあ、あと。
Well, I'm sure it was quite obvious that this was Iska's room.
ぐわ
So yes for hat.
あの頃、何度か遊びに来たことがあった。ハット用の出入り口を作るのも手伝ったぞ。
Okay, so we see a little door next to the air conditioning unit and the wardrobe. And Amane mentions that she built this door.
そうだったんだ。どうりで雑なわけね。
And I can tell that it has Amane's fingerprints on it because it's built so sloppy. And it's all because of Amane's poor hand craftsmanship.
あまり変わってないな。
And still the same as it was before.
私、物が少ないから、ごちゃごちゃしてると動くのに邪魔になるし、部屋を見に来たの？
So you wanted to talk to the room, or like you wanted to see the room, and not talk to me?
ああ、そうだった。借りていたこれを返そうと思って。これ、イスカの高校日誌じゃない。
Oh, so the flight log from Iska.
返すってどういうこと？それは小鳥のものだろ？
Well, it's yours.
違うわ。私は見つけただけで、これは。
It's like, well, now that I know who actually owns the log, it's not really mine anymore. And all I did was I just found it in some place and just,
私のものでもないぞ。
well, it's not mine either, so.
でも、あまねちゃんが持っているべきよ。だって、親友だったんでしょ？
But, if it is Iska's flight log, it makes more sense for you to have it because you're closer to Iska than me.
いつかは私に見せたくてそれをここに残したわけじゃない。もしそうなら直接渡すかガレージに置いてたはずだ。
Okay.
そうだけどこの部屋にあったんだろ。
So, why would the log be in this room as opposed to the garage or on my desk?
そこの棚と棚の隙間に挟まっていたの。隠してたみたいだった。
And plus, it was hidden in the shelves.
君が持っておくべきだと思う。いつかもそう思ってるはずだ。
It's like, well, maybe, so maybe Iska's trying to bury her experience or her work flying the glider.
あまねちゃんがそれでいいなら、私も君に持っていてほしい。うん、わかった。ここに来たおかげでまたハットにも会えた。
But you know, I get to revisit all those old times when I went to live here.
楽しい夏休みだったな。あまねちゃん。
But it is quite sad that Amane is going to leave at some point. Well, very soon.
まだ終わってないわ。
But you know, we have 10 days left, so...
でもモーニンググローリーは来るから、絶対起こるから。
And I'm sure within those 10 days, the morning glory will come.
小鳥が言うと本当にそうなりそうだな。なるもん。
Well, it will come.
それじゃあもう寝るよ。おやすみ小鳥。ハット。おやすみ。
Okay, good night.
わあ。というわけなのよ。
So, I'm pretty sure Amane just wanted to see Kotori's room, and she knows that this used to be Iska's room, and it was a way for Amane to revisit the old times. So, in the corner of the garage, in a blind spot which couldn't be seen from the drawing board, in the shadow of the glider, we were whispering to each other.
じゃあ、あまね先輩から返してきたんだ。その高校日誌。
Yeah, so she gave the flight log back to me. So Kotori had told us the details about what had happened in her room last night. Well, it seems pretty meaningful.
でしょ？だからもう私、どうしたらいいかわからなくって。
So it kind of symbolizes that Amane is going to drop this glider dreams, this glider hobby, and move on to something else. And by returning the flight log, it's like, well, this is going to be my past. I'm going to move on. But I'm pretty sure Kotori and Ageha can sense that Amane does not want to give up this. She's trying to force herself to.
心平整理ってことなんじゃないかな。もう引退も間近なわけだし。
And I'm sure that not so good teacher Tobioka-sensei is going to make sure Amane does not do glider ever again.
やだ、そんな悲しいこと言わないでよ。私だって言いたかないわよ。でもしょうがないじゃない。
But there's nothing we can do. Well, usually even if you quit a club, you still carry coming to school. Okay, so you still carry on coming to school. So however, in Amane's case, she's already gained enough credits, so as long as she doesn't fail any of her exams, she'll be able to graduate. And I'm pretty sure for Amane, she's been here way too long, so... So as she said before, once she leaves, she'll go back to home to help her father with his work. And she probably won't come to this school anymore. And when we think about it, we all start to feel really down. And because of Amane giving Isuka's flight log back to Kotori last night, we became strongly aware of the situation.
これ、ほとんど日記だね。イスカはグライダー制作の知識はほとんどなくて、 実質ハマネちゃんが作ってたみたいなの。
So I wonder if Kotori read the flight log in detail. So according to the diary, Isuka was the pilot, it seems. And Amane made it and Isuka flew it. It looks like those were their roles. I remember when we first joined the club that Amane said that there was no pilot. Well, that must be what she was talking about. So in the log, were all the details of the production process. But rather than being a flight log, it was more like a production log. So I wonder why Isuka called it a flight log. So I think it was like they spent most of their time building this glider, and there wasn't really much time given to flying this machine. So something must have happened or must have prevented this from happening before Isuka left. But it seems that Isuka wasn't a particularly diligent writer, so there are many days where nothing at all had been written. And there are a lot of things that wouldn't mean anything if someone else were to read it. For example, so it was a pointless talking to her about that thing. She doesn't know anything about what it's like to be young, and so on. And the only ones who would understand was the person who wrote it, and her, which most likely meant Amane.
やっぱりこれって天音先輩にとって大切なものなんじゃ。だから返そうとしたのよ。でも私に持っていてほしいって。なんでだろう。私が見つけたからかな。
Well, I'm pretty sure that's not why. So she might think of it as something you've inherited. Well, the fact that you were assigned to Isuka's room.
受け継いだ？何を？
So Isuka's dreams. Oh, so like, well, you kind of follow what Isuka was thinking about or dreaming about many years ago. So you came to the Soaring Club because you found it, didn't you? So don't you think that maybe Isuka brought you here?
そっか。天音先輩からすれば、イスカさんの思いが小鳥を動かしたようにも見えるわけね。
So that makes sense. So Isuka's dreams, all longing for the sky, are revealed here in the flight log. If those dreams were what moved Kotori, it could be said that she had inherited them. Okay, that makes sense.
そうなのかな。
So try to remember, in the beginning when we were talking about getting new members, Amane wasn't very positive about it. But when you brought that photo in the flight log, her attitude completely changed, didn't it? And it even gave good reasons about why the Soaring Club should stay active or like stay official to the student council, especially for, I forgot the name of that person. Oh, Akira.
そういや、そうだったね。あの時は事情が分からずにいたけど、天音先輩にとってはすごく運命的な出来事だったんだろうね。
So Kotori feels a heavy sense of responsibility, makes a serious face as she goes into deep thought.
ところでさ、気になることがあるんだけど。
So what's the mind? So Ageha flicked through the flight log.
あった、ここ。
So at some point, I won't be able to stay here. Uh-oh. And it was written here. It looks like it doesn't have much of a connection to the context of what's written before and after. It just appears suddenly and seems kind of out of place.
なんだろうね、これ。
So also the same kind of thing appears several times.
これ、学校を辞めちゃうってことかな。
So upon reading more, it doesn't really say why they had to leave.
何か事情があったのよ。ここから去らなきゃならない理由が。
So was it from the accident?
じゃあイスカさんがいなくなったのは事故とは関係ないってこと？
So is that why she left?
それはわからないけど、あまねちゃんがモーニンググローリーを飛びたがってるのはイスカのためなんだよね。
So Kotori opens a page in the log, and this is what was written there. So I still can't forget the emotion I felt when I saw that photo. That such a beautiful view could be from above the town where we live, in the sky that's always there, stretching out far and wide. And even so, she didn't seem so surprised and looked like she wasn't moved at all. And that's why I thought, I'm going to take you there for sure. So when she sees the real thing, even Amane would be brought to tears, and she'll definitely be moved by it, no doubt. So this is the page where the photo was placed inside the book. So you might be right. Well, there's no way that Amane, who is scared of heights, would want to fly above the clouds. And despite that, she caused problems for her father and continued to stay in school, becoming the super repeater student. So she must want to go there to see the view that Isuka wanted to show her.
あまねちゃんなんだ？
So for some reason, Amane just popped in, and I wonder why. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop here. I noticed that I'm getting quite long in this episode. So even though our favorite teacher, Tobioka-sensei, is angry and wants to shut down the soaring club, he does have one point that's important, and it makes sense. The fact that building a flying machine, the glider, and taking it into the skies and flying this thing, that's kind of dangerous and risky, and there is a lot of room for problems to occur. And once the glider leaves the ground, you don't really know what's going to happen. And if something does happen once it leaves the ground, it's going to be really hard or next to impossible to fix. They'll have to get the glider down to the ground as soon as possible. And that's why it's like, well, I think it's better if you join a safer club, the Robotics Club, his club. And I kind of wonder what Amaya's thinking about. Because even though she really wants to have this glider running so that she can go see the morning glory, but her actions are like, well, it's time for me to give it up, just like Isuka. So I'm going to give back the flight log, and I'm already making my plans for what I'm going to do after I graduate. I'm just going to go back to my parents' place, and in a sense, it'll help me move on and forget about all this. And I'm sure Kotori and Ageha and Aoi, they kind of sense that, well, this is not what Amane wants. And I wonder how they're going to help Amane even after she is forced to graduate. And with all that in mind, I will see you later.